We are live. Jim Collison back here, Infotec 2017. We're in the late afternoon here. I'm here with Ron Woerner. And Ron, thanks for joining me today.
My pleasure.
Good to have you. Let's get to know you a little bit. It's
Sure.
always easier for me to have you tell us a little bit about yourself. So where are you from, what you do, the business you're working with, that kind of stuff.
Of course. Well, I'm in information security, work for Carlson Hotels as their Infosec architect, but also teach for Bellevue University, where I've developed their cybersecurity studies program over the last 6 years and saw it grow from 0 to 500 students.
That's great.
So
It's good success.
it is.
Yeah,
It is.
and is that on the main, well, there's only one campus,
We
right?
have the
Down on
main
the big campus.
but we're also online. So I literally have students all over the globe.
How many online students do you have?
Oh, in the program, well over 400, both undergrad and graduate. So we teach
great.
everything from ethical hacking to security management to computer forensics. So soup to nuts
Yeah.
in cybersecurity.
That Bellevue University is kind of a nice story when we think about, the university structure. We've gotten a few students out of there.
Yes.
As well, and a little bit of an alternative to UNO or UNL. We love those schools as well, but
Right.
Kind of a nice story coming out of Bellevue
Well,
University.
the whole idea was developing security professionals. So how
Yeah.
can I take what I'm learning and actually use it to help my organization improve their security controls?
Yeah.
Because we found we seem to be reliving the same days of cybersecurity over and over.
Speaking of that, right? You've got this idea of Security Groundhog Day.
Yes.
Groundhog Day, if you don't know, is that movie where the same day repeats itself over and over and over again. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Of course. Well, I've been speaking at Infotec here for like 15 years. So about 15 years ago, I gave a talk on how to start a cybersecurity program. I recently pulled it back up and I realized most of the talk, 95% of it, is still relevant today. And how much have we learned? We still seem to be making the same cybersecurity mistakes that we did 10, 15 years ago. IoT today is really not that much different than cell phones 5 years ago, smartphones, and then laptops 10 years ago.
Right.
So the idea is, how do we prevent reliving the same mistakes over and over? How do we promote better cybersecurity hygiene within our organizations? So what I like to do here at Infotec, and thank you for having me here, is promoting cybersecurity awareness through basic resources like staysafeonline.org, stopthinkconnect.org, free resources where anyone can go and learn more about how to keep themselves, their family, and their organization safe online.
Yeah, give me some examples. I know we can go to the site, but give me some, a couple good examples of what some folks could do right now that would decrease their footprint.
Well, one is using multi-factor authentication. National Cybersecurity Alliance has a campaign called 2 Steps Ahead. 2 Steps Ahead is all about using 2 or multi-factor authentication because passwords stink. In 2004, I gave a talk on password security, and it hasn't gotten any better. So whenever you can, on whatever websites you can, using your phone to also authenticate, because it's something you know, something you have, and something you are. So that's a very simple step. I'm just being aware of your surroundings. If something doesn't feel right, ask somebody else. A great story example I can share with you, Jim, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
My son worked for a local fast food chain. 2 weeks after he started, he got an email that said, click here to see your paycheck. And it took him to a website that asked for first name, last name, social security number. Most people would think that's phishing. No, it was legitimate. But he's not as geek as much as I am, but he knew enough to ask. So anybody, if you're not sure of something, break that cybersecurity kill chain. Just ask somebody else, does this look right to you? And that simple step often stops a lot of the bad problems from happening.
Yeah. What else? What other kind of things can people do, do you think?
Oh, let's see. Knowing what happened, well, everything to identity theft, knowing where your credit card is being used, check your credit card statements every month, ask questions. If you get something, you can ask your bank or ask somewhere else. Again, taking those little steps, checking your credit. Those I think are very basic ones.
What kind of tools, certainly for the consumer, there's some tools that are available to help them. What kind of tools would you recommend?
One basic encryption tool, because what you're doing on the internet, even if you see HTTPS, that just means that channel, the highway, if you will, is being secured, but that doesn't mean on either end it's secure. So you can use simple tools like 7-zip or AES crypt, free tools. And that's what my talk was on today, was free tools from the internet to encrypt those files. And you're just encrypting them with a password. So I will say I want to send you a sensitive file there, Jim. I would encrypt it using 7-zip or AES crypt. Set a password, something we've already pre-agreed to. So something we're both familiar with. I'd call you up with it. I don't put it with the email. I'll send you the file through email. You can then decrypt it. And that provides that extra layer of security. Because security is like an onion. You need multiple layers to really be safe.
Although, couldn't I text that password?
You can text it as well.
Right?
Yep.
Different channel, different, right?
Exactly.
It's on their phone, which in theory should be a little more secure. It's in a different place.
Right, you would hope so.
Some of those, you know, at the end of the day, you got to get it close, right?
Yes.
And so those kinds of things help kind of cut down.
Right.
At least
well,
from,
security is kind of like being chased by a bear. You just got to be faster than the people running behind you, right?
Well, yeah.
So, but you want to keep yourself a small footprint and keep yourself off the suspect list, if you will. So little steps, because the hackers are really, the malicious hackers are looking for the lowest hanging fruit. What are the easiest people I can go after?
Yeah.
So if you just keep it's like locking your car doors. Most people lock their car doors. And why? Well, it's to keep honest people honest. If I want to break into your car, right, I can.
You're going to get in there.
Same thing with cybersecurity.
Right.
I can break into almost anywhere, but you want to make it hard enough so that they give up or that they're detected. Because security is about protection, detection, and response. You protect where you can, you detect when you can't protect, and then you have that response plan when something bad happens.
Yeah, we're seeing a kind of a new threat in the area of ransomware.
Yes.
And that has really, you know, what first ended up as kind of being onesie twosies is now getting pretty serious. Any tips for the average consumer when we think about avoiding ransomware, and how do we protect against that?
Well, one is you need to make sure you're having a good antivirus malware protection. You can actually use multiple ones. I mean, you go with your standards like Kaspersky, Trend Micro, Symantec, or McAfee. You can also use a free tool, Malwarebytes. You can also buy the commercial version.
I do own the commercial version.
Good.
Of that.
Actually, I've installed that with my mom's computer as well as standard.
Not terribly expensive, and I think I don't know if they're doing it anymore, but I got in a couple lifetime licenses back in the day, and so that works out pretty well.
And they are very proactive.
Yeah.
Something else you can do too. So you say you get a file and you're not sure about it. You can go to a website called VirusTotal. VirusTotal.com actually is 50 plus different antivirus programs rolled up into one. So I put the file I'm not sure about up there, and it'll actually check against all those. Now, it's still not 100% foolproof, but it's closer. They do it with both files and URL. So you get that website you're not sure. Because, well, the URL shorteners like Bitly, do you really know where that's taking you?
Right.
You know, would you go just anywhere, on a map? No, you know where you're going on the internet. Because the internet is like any big city. There's great places full of learning. You can meet awesome people. But there's also a dark side to it as well. So it's knowing how to protect yourself from that dark side. And it's, again, through little steps go a long way. Yeah.
Any other tools, you mentioned, so you mentioned antivirus, anti-malware, some of those. You mentioned 7-zip and AES. Any other tools that you talk about that are helpful when we just
More of the tools I talk about are more for the IT sector.
Okay.
So for those who are looking to create their own home playground, if you will. So your environment and where do I learn more? You can use a virtual environment. So it's a way to create a computer within a computer using tools like Oracle's VirtualBox or VMware Player or Workstation, where you can load multiple operating systems off of one operating system. What's nice there is that if I get infected with a virus on that virtual operating system, then I just tear it down and recreate it, and it only takes minutes. So I'm not so concerned about getting viruses. And I know a lot of security and IT people, if they're doing their banking or anything really sensitive, will spin up a virtual operating system. They'll use it just for that instance, and then they take it down, and it's really a nice, clean way of computing.
Yeah. Windows 10 has Hyper-V in it as well that you can.
And just using what's already available in a lot of the operating systems. We're not really using a lot of the tools readily available to us.
If I have an encrypted file, I've encrypted it, and somebody, well, you're talking about ransomware, somebody encrypts that.
Right.
Is it So is it still locked down? So
Yes.
just encrypting, right? Doesn't, from a ransomware standpoint, doesn't
all they're
save me.
doing is they're using actually the advanced encryption standard, so the standard from the U.S. government, to encrypt with their own password, and then they're giving you that password.
Yeah.
You know, if you pay the ransom. Really, the best other way to defeat ransomware is have good backups. We really recommend, well, first of all, open network shares. It'll attack open network shares, so don't share stuff that you don't have to. You know, that minimalistic footprint.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you have good backups, then what you do is that, okay, I won't pay the ransom. I'll just reinstall the operating system, reinstall my backup. So backup, test your backups, making sure they're valid. So on a weekly basis, I put my important files out to a terabyte drive that I keep in my safe. That way, if something bad happens, I've only lost a very minimal amount of data. Again, very simple, low-cost steps. Because we can't, if security costs too much, people won't do it.
Yeah, and I think get those backups versioned too,
Right.
so that
Yes.
right, because you may not discover
Very good.
for a
Yes.
while. Some of those payloads are timed,
Yes.
and so you may not know for a while. But then,
Right.
and I love your idea of getting that on another hard drive and then taking it off site. Yeah, it's not practical to do a lot, but once a month even would.
Right.
At least get, if those pictures, right, because those are the most really, the pictures are the hard ones.
Yes.
The
And
videos.
whether it's, on your computer or even on your mobile device, do you back up, and are you aware of what you may lose?
Yeah.
And it's that simple awareness people don't always think about until the bad things happen.
Right.
So it's like the Boy Scout motto, be prepared.
Right.
So.
Anything, when you think of that Groundhog Day, anything else that we're repeating over and over again? And think about, have we made, certainly it seems like the enterprise has made some, we've made some gains in that of being more secure. Is enterprise leading the way? Because it used to be, people were terribly insecure at home, and enterprise wasn't doing much better. And it seems like maybe we've made progress on both sides.
Jim. We've made huge strides, but there's always more to do because the bad guys, it's that arms race, if you will.
Step it up, right?
Build a better mousetrap, the mice get smarter.
Yeah.
And it is big business for these malicious hackers. The Russian mafia is alive and well. And it's talking with the FBI. They do have big business going after our private information. So organizations have made huge strides. An important thing, though, is to be able to prioritize your risks. And that really needs to come from the top. From a classic internet security book, it's called Practical Internet and Unix Security by Garfinkel and Spafford. It's known as Spaff's Law. If you have responsibility for security, but you don't have the authority to enforce it, you're just there to take the blame when something goes wrong. That was written in 1987.
Mm-hmm.
30 years later, still very true. So for any upper management who may be listening to this, are you prioritizing security? Are you giving that authority as well as responsibility to the security folks? So this way they can best protect the organization, protect those crown jewels, keep the organization running as fast as possible.
Yeah.
One other quick analogy for you.
Yeah.
You may like. I have the analogy of security is like brakes on a car. So why do we have brakes on a car? Many people will say to stop.
Yeah.
No, to go faster. If we did not have a good braking system, we couldn't go 70 miles an hour on the highway. Mm-hmm. Security just is that braking to slow down during periods of higher risk, occasionally stop, but allow the business to go as fast as possible. So that I've had a lot of success selling security by using that analogy.
No, it's a great way to end it, Ron. Thank you for jumping in here today. I appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time to do that. I think some good reminders when we think about security, information security, our own security as well. So thanks for doing that.
Small steps.
Appreciate it. Hang tight for 1 second. We are going to shut the mics off for just a minute. I think I've got one more interview to do. So if you're listening live, and there's a few of you out there, hang tight. I'll be right back.